Hi, I'm Nisha from Vera Solutions, and I'm going to walk through how to create activities in AMP Impact. This feature enables users to create, manage, and track progress for activities in an implementation plan by displaying a Gantt chart view of all of the activities and sub-activities within that implementation plan. An implementation plan is a planning document that tracks the progress of a project's implementation. A single implementation plan consists of numerous activities to be carried out for the plan to be considered complete. An activity is an action item or task to be implemented in order to work towards completing or accomplishing a goal or objective. Now we will go through an example of creating an implementation plan and its corresponding activities. To create an implementation plan, we navigate to the Setup tab on a project record, scroll to the Implementation Plan Related list, and click New. Since we're working in a financial inclusion project, we can name this implementation plan Onboard Beneficiaries to Financial Services. And we can add a description if we would like. And we can save it. Users may create as many implementation plans per project as needed. In this case, we have 2. And now that our implementation plan has been created, we can start to add activities. So to do that, we'll navigate to the Activities tab. Once the Activities tab has been opened, we can choose our implementation plan and start to add activities to it. So the one that we just created is Onboard Beneficiaries to Financial Services. And to start to add activities, we click on the Add New Activity button, and that prompts this pop-up to appear. In this pop-up, the required fields to fill out are the Implementation Plan field and the Activity Name field. So we'll name this activity Recruit Participants. After this step, we can see that there are other fields in the pop-up that can be filled out. We can add a description. We can choose the type of activity this is. We can include a planned start date and a planned end date. We can specify the location and add a status. We can also relate this activity to a parent activity. But since this is the first activity we're creating for this implementation plan, there are no available activities to include as the parent activity. Lastly, we're able to relate this activity to a contact and assign them responsibility, and we can relate it to a project indicator as a way to make progress towards the results of that indicator and/or a project objective to tie this activity to our logical framework. I've gone in and included my description, type of activity, my planned start and end date. I've included the status, the contact, and I've related this activity to the project indicator number of beneficiaries and the project objective increase awareness around saving. So now I'll go through creating one more activity, and this time we will relate this activity to a parent. Speak to your system admin to select which fields are displayed in the Add New Activity pop-up. So with this next activity that was created, I was able to relate this to the parent activity, which was the one that we've just created. So now I can save this, and now I'll create the rest of my activities. After I create my activities for this implementation plan, I can see these activities on the table and can visualize the hierarchy between the parent and children activities. The timeline is the final column in the activity table containing planned and actual date information for each activity in an implementation plan in a Gantt chart view. The timeline display is controlled by the values in the 4 date fields on activity. As we can see, the gray bars represent the planned start and end dates of an activity. When actual start and end dates are included, then a blue bar will appear on the chart as well. We'll go through the steps to include actual dates in just a few minutes. This setup assumes that users are entering planned dates on create and entering actual dates on edit. Please speak to your system admin about setting up the fields as per the process your org follows. The timeline column also contains a vertical bar that is marked by the current date. This date is also pinned at the top of the activity table. The activity row is a single activity displayed within the activity table. This includes the activity detail and timeline information for that activity, which I can see on hover of the activity itself, which we can see here. We saw when we were creating the activities earlier that we had the option to include planned start and end dates. Now we'll go through adding actual start and end dates by clicking on the edit icon of the activity. Speak to your system admin to select which fields are displayed in the edit activity pop-up. Clicking on this will prompt the edit activity pop-up, which contains the actual start and end date field. So in this case, we'll say that our activity started November 22nd and ended January 23rd. When a planned end date passes, we can see the number of days that have been passed. So over here, we can see for investing in R&D, this is overdue by 22 days. And for recruiting participants, we can see that this is overdue by 3 days. If both the start and end date fields, either planned dates or actual dates, are populated, then a full bar spanning the entire timeline of the activity will be displayed, as we can see here. If only one of the planned date fields, i.e. planned start date or planned end date, is populated, then nothing will display for the planned dates. If only the start date is populated, then a tick mark representing the populated date will display. So we can see that here, where only that actual start date for hiring professionals has been included. And so we can see this blue tick mark here and here for these two activities. If only the end date is populated, then nothing will display on the timeline for the actual dates. Speak to your system admin to select which fields are displayed in the activity table columns. By default, the activity table is sorted in ascending order for the earliest start dates so that activities with earlier start dates are displayed above activities with later start dates. The activity table can be sorted by clicking on any of the columns to the right of the action icons in the activity table to sort the list of activities. So if I want to sort it by status, I can do that. Or if I'd like to sort it by name, I can do that as well. I can alter the display by toggling according to week, month, or year, which is shown up here. So if I'd like for my activities to display by week, I click on week and I can see that change has been reflected on the table. I can choose to display my activities by month and by year. Notice that the parent-child hierarchy will be maintained when you sort. I can also filter my activities by typing in the search bar. I can also filter according to my activity's dates. For example, if I want to filter by the planned start date for an activity, I can select planned start date from this pick list, and I can enter the range that I am looking to see activities for. So if I'd like to see from December 1st, let's say until Feb 28th, I can see those here. Speak to your system admin to select which fields are referenced in the search bar and also displayed in the advanced filters. So now I'll click on Show More Filters, which opens the advanced filter panel. And here I can filter by the status of the activity. So if I'd only like to see activities that are in planning status, I can see that. And in this case, this activity of recruit participants, which has the status of complete, is appearing because it has a child activity with the status of planning. I can filter where type is equal to, let's say, training. And I can also filter by location. Now I will show some reports that come out of the box to analyze the activities and their relationships to other project areas for one or more implementation plan. There are 3 reports offered out of the box that relate to activities. The first is Activities by Project Indicator. This report shows which activities are related to which indicators within an implementation plan. The second is Activities by Project Objective. This report indicates progress towards any objective based on activities completed, as well as which objectives will be achieved by a particular implementation plan. The last one is Activity and Financials by Project. This report can be used to track the planned and actual expenses related to an activity for financial budgeting and planning purposes. So we'll take a look at the report Activities and Financials by Project. So I've opened up the report Activities and Financials by Project and can see here the different financial records and the activities to which they're related. This report will show all of the implementation plans per project, as I can see here, and shows the actual and planned expenditures for each of these activities. So for each of these, there is the amount planned and the amount actual, and that gets summed over here as well. This concludes the walkthrough of AMP Impact's new Activities feature. For further understanding, please read the Activities User Guide. Thanks for watching.